106.
It's 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti on the horn.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys.
So on the surface, this looks like a very stereotypical morning radio show topic. And I'll just give you the headline. Lawsuit, pork roll company fired employee for passing gas. There's a little more to it, which you'll explain, and then it leads us to the question of overall hygiene at work.
Right.
So, but as far as the pork roll company, I guess the guy who got fired had gastric bypass surgery, to give you some details.
Okay, and that is what he's saying is affecting his excessive gas.
How do you analyze that, Paul?
Wow, there's a lot there. First of all, we got to keep in mind New York State and New Jersey could be a little bit different, but New York State here, we have an at-will employee rule, which means you can be fired for virtually anything. You can't be fired on account of race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. But beyond that, you can fire someone simply because you're just tired of looking at their face, or maybe in this case, smelling their gas.
Right.
That's what I want to be able to do if I run a company. I want to be able to fire him at will, no matter what.
Then, he just had surgery. So now we're talking about that he's got some short-term disability, and therefore you have to make a reasonable accommodation for that disability. Was the gas going to clear up? Was it something that they could kind of continue on? But they sort of, they decided to file a lawsuit, and they think that he was wrongfully terminated. The employer saying, you weren't even terminated. We told you work was slow, work from home, and you quit.
Yeah, I don't get their lawsuit because they said that they fired him really because work had slowed down, not because of the gas. But they have the right to fire them for either reason, right, Paul?
Well, the gas thing's a little tricky. See, because again, he had a medical. If this just you talked about it earlier, if you just had a smelly employee and they just won't clean it up,
right?
At that point, sure, you can tempt if you want to give them some suggestions on hygiene, etc.
And I imagine there's some leeway because they are a pork roll company. I imagine a lot of the guys eat pork rolls, and I don't want to. I don't know if there's any precedent, but I imagine eating pork rolls give you gas a little bit more gas.
A little spicy and can juice you up a little bit. I would guess that's right. It might be so they may have a different standard of what is smelly, right? And this may have just been really just off the charts. Versus is normal smelly at a pork roll company. I don't know. I do know that they've got the ability to certainly vet this in court and see if he was wrongfully terminated.
On a side note, I didn't know what a pork roll was till I read this story. It's like bologna or Spam, but it's not a rolled pork loin stuffed with like feta and spinach.
No. It's a big squished together piece of pork lips.
Have you had it, Paul?
Delicious.
If I did, I didn't know it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I used to go get a pork roll on a toasted roll down in Yonkers. Toasted hard roll on a pork roll. Yeah, it was so good.
Good stuff.
Tasty. That would make you have a little gas, but what doesn't, right?
Paul, you've been a true professional.
All right, but
conversation.
If, for instance, you worked in a place like, I don't know, like a law office or something, and there was no real like pork roll effect there, and somebody had some gas. Have you ever heard of such a thing, getting fired for stinking like that for no reason?
I've had conversations with most unique conversations with people, really bad breath. I've had complaints and had to have a really delicate conversation with someone about, if you don't eat in the morning, sometimes you can have, bad breath. And so I'm sure these conversations take place. Firing someone for that, probably there were other reasons why you wanted them out the door, I would guess, other than just maybe bad breath or smelling.
All right.
My super rich uncle cut his honeymoon short because his new bride, his third wife, had severe halitosis. They pulled up stakes and left Greece to come see a specialist.
Oh, my God. That's an emergency right there.
A buzzkill, huh?
Oh, my God.
All right, Paul Harding from Martin Harding and Mazzotti. Again, true professional this morning.
1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. See you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Quinn and Cantera, mornings on PYX 106.